understand everybody's sad as shit, but hey, somebody gotta be sad at the end of the day. We need to get this together.
My dead grandmother head, if I'm lying, I'm down. God could come pull me out this car right now. I never took a dollar from
nothing.
A nigga said, let me take a picture, this, that, and that. I look up, the nigga then ran down. We all the way at the top of the staircase first off.
Motherfucker be like, you don't be getting death threats. That's why I was asking. If you didn't get a chance to even ask that shit.
I don't take that serious, man. Motherfucker trying to kill me my whole life, bro. I ain't gonna.
From the outside, folks thought Lil Jeff's shooter was chill, but in reality, this guy's off the rails. Now, courtroom insiders are saying his behavior in front of the judge was straight up unhinged. And looking back, maybe the red flags were always there. He didn't just pull the trigger on Lil Jeff, he emptied the whole clip into his chest like it was nothing. Then, in a shocking twist, he allegedly told the court he doesn't even care that Jeff is gone. Who says stuff like that out loud?
I understand everybody's sad as shit, but hey, somebody gotta be sad at the end of the day. We need to get this together.
Now people are wondering if we've been watching a real-life ticking time bomb the whole time. The latest courtroom leaks are insane. We might not be looking at just a criminal. This could be a full-blown menace on the loose, and that brings us to Emma, who just broke it all down. Lil Jeff's killer is spiraling. When Trady Rob got cuffed, everyone figured it was all tied to Jeff's death, and according to Trench's news, that's exactly it. Turns out firing 19 rounds into someone already lying on the ground isn't self-defense. It's being labeled something way darker. Overkill. Cold-blooded overkill.
Death threat, death threat all you want to, bro. That's just some words, man. Do be an action.
Let's be real, 19 shots into someone who's already down? That's not protection, that's obsession. Some folks online are saying Jeff brought it on himself, but others are asking, was Trady Rob even thinking straight at all? Either way, he's locked up now, and it's looking like he's in major trouble with charges that might bury him. But then, boom, a wave of Reddit posts flipped the story.
And you know what's crazy? You know Jake Boogie, like
Jake
like
Boogie,
under us,
my
just
hood.
like shorty. Like I was in the field with this kid. Like this Lil Jeff brother, like on David. I don't know how this gonna play out.
Turns out Trady Rob didn't end up with a murder charge after all. His charges got downgraded from first-degree murder to just a gun charge. One post even claimed that the only reason he was arrested in the first place was because a witness claimed to have seen him near the scene when Lil Jeff got dropped. But when Chicago PD did a deeper dig, they couldn't pin him as the actual shooter, so the murder charge vanished. Instead, he just caught a weapons charge, and that's when things took a wild turn again.
They say he ain't claiming the hood still.
But he Trap City.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where
Like,
he from.
that's
How the fuck
all
you gonna
weird,
do that
bro.
and you over Saturday night blood? Like you can't
But we already know Trap City and Drill City was the same shit. And water, like that's our family.
Months later, another Reddit leak dropped. A new pic of Trady Rob surfaced, and he was looking solid, fit, calm, even smiling. The image went viral fast, giving his growing crew of fans a sense of hope. To them, this wasn't just another guy swallowed by the system. This was someone who, in their eyes, stood up when it mattered most. And if you watched any of his older interviews before he got locked up, you'd see why so many folks still back him.
We saw you online, you know, as soon as you got out, you sniffed the perk with Q50 online. Yeah.
I'm finna snuff one right now.
Trady Rob carried himself like a real one. No fear in his eyes, no regrets in his voice. When speaking on Lil Jeff, he didn't sugarcoat it. He said Jeff made his choices, and had to deal with the consequences. He messed around and he found out, Rob said. Even if people feel bad about what happened, Rob claimed he was just standing on business and holding it down for the porch. And if you're thinking Trady Rob's out here scared of retaliation from his enemies, think again. He's not ducking, not flinching, and definitely not hiding.
Hey, so what's your relationship like with Q50? You know, we saw y'all linked up, you know.
Bleed.
What you think about Q50? That's like Lil Jeff, right-hand man.
What I think about him, what you mean? That's look bleed, black, brr. I love him.
Word is, the Bloodhounds have been on edge, ready to strike back hard. Taking out Trady Rob would send a loud message to all their rivals, don't play with us. And yeah, the threats have already started flying in. But Rob, he's not sweating it. He straight up told them he was born ready for this. He's not just talk, he's prepared for whatever. This whole thing feels real similar to what happened with Quando Rondo. After King Von's death, Quando was getting flooded with threats too. He clapped back online, basically daring anyone to try him. Stop typing and do something, he said. But a year later, ops caught him lacking at a gas station. He made it out barely, but his cousin L Pop didn't.
Can you tell us around what age did you jump off the porch?
Hold up, probably like 13, something like that. 13, 14, regular age, you know, been bad as hell though, you know.
Now, Trady Rob, he might just be cut from a different cloth, because on June 8, 2024, everything changed. Cameras caught a sequence of events that had the streets buzzing. By the early hours of June 9th, it all came crashing into the public eye. Journalist Kyle Mazza broke the story on his X account with a chilling update. Unidentified male shot and killed in Chicago, Illinois, June 8, 2024. And just hours later, Spot News confirmed the whispers. The victim was none other than Chicago rapper Bloodhound Lil Jeff.
So around what age did you jump off the porch and start hanging out in the streets?
I'm gonna say when I came outside for real, I was like 18.
So can you tell us like who introduced you to the street life?
My brother.
Your older brother, right?
Yeah.
According to reports, the deadly hit happened around 5:14 p.m., right on the 6,600 block of South Rhodes Avenue. Witnesses say the victim, later ID'd as Lil Jeff, was standing by the sidewalk when he got hit directly in the chest by gunfire. The report broke it all down in chilling detail. The victim was rushed to the hospital, but didn't make it. Pronounced dead on arrival. No suspects in custody. But what really shook everyone was the crime scene. It was littered with shell casings. And then came the bombshell. CCTV footage leaked online, and it was pure chaos, frame by frame. The footage came straight from the 6,600 block of South Rhodes Avenue. It showed a group posted up near a house and some parked cars. Among them, Lil Jeff's crew. You could spot them easily. They were in the black car. One person was dressed head to toe in black, another in red, who got ID'd later as Q50, and another wearing a white hoodie. Then things popped off real quick. A dude in yellow shorts was seen trying to get into a car. That's when Lil Jeff spotted him. The black car door flung open. Boom, it's Lil Jeff.
I'm spending like probably $400 a day, literally.
No hesitation, he jumped out and went full sprint after the man in yellow. But seconds later, Jeff's body disappeared behind a big pillar near the house. Now, here's where it gets wild. His crew didn't back him up. Instead of chasing with him, they turned their focus to a gray car nearby and started letting off shots. Meanwhile, Lil Jeff caught his target with one to the chest, but before he could finish what he started, two shadowy figures popped out of an alley and opened fire right back. Everything flipped in seconds, and the whole scene turned into a shootout. Lil Jeff didn't stand a chance. His body was thrown back onto the ground, landing right at the foot of the porch. And while he lay there, barely moving, the shooters walked up and made sure it was done. They emptied the entire magazine into him from close range. No mercy, no hesitation. It was a wrap.
So at one intersection, I had to stop it because there was a car coming through, and then I turned to him to say, "Hey, I'm going to take you to the hospital." And he said, "Okay." Then the next time I stopped, I had to stop at a light because there was two cars coming through the intersection, so I couldn't run it immediately. And I looked back then, and he wasn't moving anymore.
Q50 and another shooter tried to fire back, but it was too late. Jeff was already down for good. What happened next hit even harder. His own crew dipped. They jumped back into the car and peeled off, leaving Jeff bleeding out alone on the pavement. The video ends with his body motionless, surrounded by chaos, but it didn't stop there. Scanner reports later confirmed a victim had been hit 15 times and was rushed to the hospital by his people. And the wildest part, CCTV footage showed Lil Jeff's own homies trying to carry him off the porch where he got lit up, like they suddenly cared after leaving him in the heat of it all. Even with that effort, it was too late. Lil Jeff was pronounced dead on arrival. By the time cops pulled up, the street was a war zone. 58 shell casings scattered everywhere like confetti after a shootout. Meanwhile, the man in yellow shorts didn't walk away clean either. He made it to the hospital with his crew, taking one to the chest but still breathing. Now, even though Trady Rob stays talking tough and swears he's ready if the Bloodhounds want smoke, there's one name that could shake everything up. J Boogie, Lil Jeff's brother. J Boogie, Lil Jeff's big brother, is stirring serious tension in the city right now. Just 5 months before he was supposed to come home, he got the kind of news no one wants to hear. His little brother had been shot down in the middle of a drill that went all the way left. To make it worse, their bond was broken before the tragedy. 3 months before the hit, while J Boogie was still behind bars, things between him and Lil Jeff were bad, real bad. A leaked email from jail painted the picture clear. J Boogie was venting hard, worried, frustrated, heartbroken. He wrote, "I know I'm trying to make it as soon as possible. I know he's losing himself. I don't know who he is no more either. He thinks he's bigger than me. I told him it don't feel like I even got a brother out there."
I'm taking to killing school. class start next week. You gotta at least have 2 bodies though. For I ain't coming with no. You ain't got shit, I can't work with no beginners folks.
And now, that same little brother is gone before they ever got the chance to fix things. That kind of regret changes people, and it's the kind of pain that can lead someone to crash out. But there's another layer to this, the internet. Strangers online pushing J Boogie to retaliate. Folks typing like it's a video game telling him to slide for Lil Jeff. It's twisted. The web can be a dark place. People egging on violence for clout while he's left to carry the weight of real-life consequences. Now J Boogie's stuck in the middle. His heart shattered, his head spinning, and making it even messier. Just days before he was taken out, Lil Jeff told his homies something cold. If his ops ever caught him slipping, he wanted them to spin back. J Boogie didn't have much of a choice. He had to ride for his little brother. But there was one major twist that made everything messy. The people who took out Lil Jeff, they used to be his boys.
The shit will start happening, and y'all know this by now. I went black for like a week, and poof. Gotta go. After that one, poof. I came back, poof. Only the
That's right. J Boogie had no beef with them, none. And get this, even Trap City, Jeff's so-called ops, were confused by the whole hit. They had nothing against J Boogie either, but everybody knew what it was. Street code is street code, and once blood is spilled, the game changes. In a vlog featuring OTF Black alongside Trap City members Taro and Rob, things got even more layered. OTF Black dropped a bomb. He had been locked up with J Boogie's father. That's deep roots. He also revealed that J Boogie was raised under the Black Disciples, meaning he grew up around guys like Trady. Trap City Rob even said that Boogie was still repping BD while inside. So when word got out that J Boogie was getting released 2 years early and in just months after his brother was taken out, everyone was holding their breath. The streets wanted to know, which side would he pick? Would he roll with the Bloodhounds, the crew he'd been claiming since day one? Or would he side with his old childhood friends from BD, the same circle connected to the crew responsible for his brother's death? But we all know the saying, blood runs thicker than water. And when J Boogie finally came home 3 months after Jeff's death, he made his decision loud and clear. He hopped on IG Live, wilding out with the Bloodhounds, doing their usual, even getting lit on camera with Q50 by his side.
You gotta at least have a 2. I'm gonna give y'all 2 minimum. I'm gonna start at 2 minimum, cause y'all know why I'm gonna start at 2 minimum. Now I'm just doing it for a tradition. I'm gonna start at 2 minimum.
In his first sit-down back, talking to DJ UTV, Boogie didn't hold back. He said it straight. He and Q50 are locked in. There's no confusion anymore. J Boogie chose his side. Since Q50 was right there when Lil Jeff took his final breath, you already know the talk of sliding for Jeff is heating up. But the pressure, it ain't just coming from the streets or social media. It might be eating at J Boogie from within. What most people don't realize is this. J Boogie might secretly blame himself for what happened to his little brother. And the reason hits deep.
Feel, if I get mad enough, will start happening. Y'all know this by now. I went for like a week, and poof. Gotta go. After that one, poof. I came back, poof.
In his interview with DJ UTV, Boogie admitted he jumped off the porch at just 13. And that decision, it came with a cost. He's the one who brought Lil Jeff into that life, introduced him to the streets, set him on a path that would change everything. Not long after, Jeff was running around with dudes like Ton and Q50, both of whom were knee-deep in drugs by then. Q50 even hit Instagram bragging about how he spends over $500 daily on perks. Wild, right? Meanwhile, Vert, another name in the mix, claimed in an interview that he drops around $400 on drugs regularly. It gets worse. Vert's so far out there, he's been caught nodding off mid-interview, high and barely functioning. And as the Bloodhounds image keeps spiraling, even Jeff's alleged killer took a shot at them online. He posted on IG, clowning the crew saying, "Why would I want to hang with Vert? That's a shorty and a goofy. I'm from Trap City. It's not 79th, not Bloodhound. What am I even doing hanging with you perk-sniffing fools?" That's what people are saying now, and not without reason. There's even a rumor swirling that the day Lil Jeff got hit, the whole crew was high off something. Jeff, they say, was moving with a fake sense of confidence. And Q50? He was out here tripping and literally fell over during the action. Straight up embarrassing. It was a disaster from the jump, and maybe that's why the Bloodhounds keep catching L's. It's like the curse didn't stop with Lil Jeff. Just 1 month after his murder, another top member, both a rapper and a known shooter, lost his life too. On June 7th, tragedy rocked the Chatham neighborhood. Around 11:50 p.m. at the intersection of 89th Place and Langley Avenue, Ein Hogan, known in the streets as Lil Shit, and his 16-year-old homie, Lil Will, got into it with someone. What started as an argument turned violent fast. Threats were thrown, and in seconds, shots rang out. When the smoke cleared, she was down. Lil Will caught one too, but he survived. Medics rushed to get them help at the University of Chicago Medical Center, but for
Have someone ever tried to take like some of your belongings from you?
Now listen, I ain't gonna lie. A nigga did run off on me before. I will tell you that. Niggas did what they did.
It was already too late. Another young voice silenced, but the story doesn't end there. Cops spotted a suspect running from the scene. What followed was a wild foot chase. At some point, the suspect even turned and fired at the police, sparking a massive response. CPD, SWAT, and multiple units were called in. Sirens, chaos, the whole block locked down. But even with all that force, the shooter vanished into the night. Not long after, Lil Ko's label released a statement mourning the loss of their artist. It is with great sadness that we share the loss of Lil Sean, a true creative. His passion for music was clear in the constant flow of songs and videos to fans. His talent, vision, and quiet drive made him a one-of-a-kind inspiration. We'll miss him dearly. Our thoughts are with his family. That's what the label said after Lil Sh passed. But in the background, the Bloodhounds weren't sitting still. Even with all the L's stacking up, they've been locked in on one thing, revenge. And this time it's personal. They're going after not just the ops, but even family members tied to the other side. Now, speaking of family, Lil Jeff's parents. They weren't your typical grieving mom and dad. After Lil Jeff's death, his father shocked everyone with how he reacted online. Instead of staying quiet or posting something mournful, he jumped on social media with some energy that left people confused, disturbed, and asking serious questions. But before we even get into what his dad said, let's rewind to his mom. See, while Jeff was still alive and in the mix, his mom already knew what was going on in the streets, and instead of begging him to stay safe or walk away from the violence, she actually seemed to embrace it. In a now viral screenshot that made its rounds online, Jeff himself shared a convo with his mom, and it said a lot. She wrote, "Go ahead, son, your name ringing bells in the streets." And in another message, she added, "I love it, sliding on them. This who slept in the bed with you."
Tell the opera. We talking Friday. You taking cell phones.
We got like 50K down. That fake AP they get.
It wasn't a warning, it wasn't concern, it was full-on support, and Jeff was hyped by it too, proud even. He screenshotted the convo and posted it with a bold caption, "All I gotta say is she watched me work that 6T woo to him." Lil Jeff's mom didn't just support him, she gassed him up. Her approval wasn't just validation, it was fuel to keep sliding, but if her reaction was wild, then what his father did. That took things to a whole other level. While Jeff's mom cheered from the sidelines, his dad jumped right into the middle of the storm. He didn't just mourn, he practically demanded retaliation. Hitting Facebook with a bold, aggressive message, he let it be known. Y'all didn't get him. He came trying to get y'all, and what happened, happened, but the saga continues, clear the streets. To people outside the street life, that post was chilling. It didn't sound like grief, it sounded like a battle cry. Instead of breaking the cycle, Jeff's parents were adding fuel to the fire and making sure everyone saw the match being lit. And once a message like that hits the streets, it's only a matter of time before people act on it. Soon enough, Jeff's crew took his dad's words to heart. Even though Jeff was the one who went looking for smoke, the Bloodhounds were locked in and out for revenge. Their eyes fell on their next target, Trap City Carter, and the hit came fast. On October 20th, 2024, local news started buzzing. A man had been gunned down in cold blood in Chicago. The night before, gunshots rang out in the Oakland neighborhood, a known hotspot already soaked in history and trauma. By the end of it, another body was left bleeding on the pavement, another name added to the cycle. It all went down around 8:41 p.m. on South Ellis Avenue, a block where violence isn't rare. Witnesses say it happened fast. Two men walked up, guns already drawn, and fired without blinking. Their target never stood a chance. In seconds, the shooters jumped into a white car and vanished into the night like ghosts. Paramedics arrived fast and rushed the victim to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but it was already too late. He had been hit multiple times in the chest and lost too much blood. Doctors tried to save him, but the damage was done.
I don't even think you need no introduction at this point, my boy.
I do, man.
Okay, for sure.
Not me, man.
But for sure, we gonna get to that.
Shortly after, the medical examiner confirmed his identity, Chevelle Carter, also known in the streets as Trap City Carter. And when word hit the internet, Lil Jeff's crew didn't hold back. They lit up social media with cryptic posts, the kind of messages that didn't say it outright but made the meaning clear. This was payback. One of Jeff's closest affiliates, Q51, hit Instagram with a bold flex, posting a pic of 3 blunts lined up with a caption that said it all. "Feet kicked up, now I can get rich, I love and miss y'all." And then he dropped a chilling PS, "It ain't over." They wanted the world to know one of their biggest ops had just been taken off the board, and according to them, it was justice for Lil Jeff. But the violence didn't end there. True to his word, Q51 was just getting started. Only days after Carter's murder, another name was added to the list. Another life lost in a war that's only been picking up steam. This time, the person who lost their life had nothing to do with the streets. On November 2nd, what was supposed to be a peaceful send-off for Trap City Carter turned into yet another heartbreaking tragedy in Chicago. News outlets broke the story. A woman was shot and killed while taking part in her brother's funeral procession in the quiet suburb of Dixmoor. She wasn't looking for drama. She showed up to say goodbye, to mourn, to be with family, to pay her final respects. But instead of closure, her own life was stolen. At exactly 12:01 p.m., Dixmoor police were called to 147th Street and Sealy Avenue after a white Jaguar SUV had crashed into a house. But the wreck wasn't the worst part. Inside the vehicle, officers found a 34-year-old woman behind the wheel, slumped over. She had been shot multiple times, her lifeless body still in the driver's seat. Turns out she was part of the funeral procession for her brother, making the slow drive from St. Mark's Church in Harvey when gunfire erupted out of nowhere.
They say he claiming the hood still.
But he Trap City.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where
like,
he from.
How the fuck
all
you gonna
weird,
do that
bro.
and you over Saturday night blood? Like you can't do that.
But we already know Trap City and Drill City was the same in water. Like, that's our family.
The very route meant to carry her brother to his final resting place had become the road to her own. Medics rushed her to UChicago Medicine at Ingalls Memorial Hospital in Harvey. They did everything they could, but she was pronounced dead shortly after arriving. Her name was Rosia Turner, a resident of Calumet Park, and more importantly, she was Trady Carter's sister. The message from Lil Jeff's affiliates couldn't be clearer. No one was off limits. Whether it was ambushing someone in the streets or targeting the family of a fallen rival, even during a funeral, they were willing to cross any line to settle the score for Jeff. Chicago's streets have always been rough, but this was a whole new low, and honestly, this is the exact kind of energy Lil Jeff was known for. He didn't just live in the streets, he thrived in chaos. Sliding on his enemies wasn't a side hustle, it was his lifestyle, and his track record? Wild from start to finish. Let's start with one of the lighter but still insane moments. One time, Lil Jeff and Q50 caught an op lacking inside a store. That op? Trady's own Big Motion. What happened next was straight up humiliating. With his phone out recording, Lil Jeff walked up slow and started pressing Big Motion hard. Then, in front of the camera, he told him to do something disrespectful. He ordered him to speak down on his own fallen homie, Leo. Cornered, outnumbered, and embarrassed, Big Motion gave in. He said it. And seconds later, Jeff and Q50 started punching him out. Big Motion hit the floor. That video blew up, becoming one of the most embarrassing clips of the whole gang feud. But the story behind that dead op Leo? It gets even darker. It turns out Leo, real name Jal Algos S. Leal, died in a situation just as twisted. And the internet, it's been whispering that Lil Jeff may have had something to do with it. On June 25th, around 8:55 p.m., Jal Algos, a known Trap City member, was chilling in a rideshare car parked up in the Little Italy neighborhood near the University of Illinois Chicago campus. This area is usually known for students, families, and not gang hits. But Jeff's enemies didn't care about the setting. They wanted Leo gone. As the car sat parked on the 1300 block of West Taylor Street, someone walked up on foot and let off shots straight through the rear passenger window. No hesitation. The shooter sprayed the car, then dipped out before anyone could react. The whole hit on Jal Algos lasted just seconds. Once the shots rang out, the rideshare driver panicked, slammed on the gas and rushed the bleeding victim to the nearest hospital, barely a mile away. But it was already too late. By the time they pulled up, Jal was gone. The Trap City affiliate was pronounced dead upon arrival. But here's where things get even more bizarre, and honestly hard to believe. Jal Algos wasn't just any gang member. His family was actually deep into violence prevention work. His father was an executive assistant for a Chicago anti-violence organization called Project HOOD, while his brother served as the group's youth manager. That's right, while his family worked to stop gun violence, Jal was living the very life they were trying to save kids from. But Lil Jeff, he didn't care about any of that. Right after the murder, Jeff hopped online and mocked the whole thing. He reenacted how it went down, trolling the situation like it was just another internet joke. His level of disrespect?
Can you tell us around what age did you jump off the porch?
Hold up, I've been out here though, probably like 13, something like that, 13, 14, right? Like, hey, you know, been bad as hell though, you know?
Next level. And it didn't stop there. Lil Jeff didn't just go after rival males, he slid on anyone. Even women weren't off limits. The double murder of 2 known figures in the drill scene sent shockwaves through Chicago. 25-year-old D.H.E. McGee, also known as D-Money, and 19-year-old Lil Deuce were both killed under mysterious circumstances. And this one hit different. It wasn't just another turf beef gone wrong, this felt personal. And guess whose name started coming up again online? Lil Jeff. Word on the streets was that he had something to do with it. And just like before, he didn't hide. He practically broadcasted it. In the early hours of November 1st, 2023, Lil Deuce and D-Money were sitting in a parked car on the 8300 block of South Dorchester Avenue. It was supposed to be just another quiet night in the trenches, but in seconds, everything flipped. According to a witness, 2 individuals crept up on a parked car where D-Money and Lil Deuce were sitting. Before the 2 could even react, shots rang out, a rain of bullets tearing into the vehicle. The shooters didn't stick around. They vanished on foot, swallowed by the shadows, and it was a straight-up hit. Clean, quick, and cold. Lil Deuce took the worst of it, hit multiple times in the chest. Paramedics got there fast and rushed him to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but he was already gone, pronounced dead on arrival. D-Money, on the other hand, was still clinging to life. She had been hit in the torso. She was taken to the same hospital, fighting for every breath. But her fight didn't last long. She passed shortly after. The news shook the city. 2 well-known names from the drill scene, gone in one night, but then came Lil Jeff. Just hours after the story broke, he jumped online and posted cryptic messages. But to people in the know, they weren't cryptic at all. He dropped a series of hat emojis, a known symbol in the streets for catching bodies. What made it worse? One of the hats looked like it was aimed at a female. Many believed it was meant for D-Money. This wasn't the first time Jeff used these kinds of emojis to flex on social media, and sadly, it wouldn't be the last. Because not long after, 2 high school students would get caught up, and folks started pointing fingers in the same direction. To outsiders, the post might have looked harmless, just another random emoji drop. But in Chicago's drill scene, that was a direct shot, a message, a digital taunt to his enemies, letting them know, if you're slipping, I will find you, just like I did your people. Lil Jeff had been throwing up the number 2 all over social media, and now people finally understood why. It all seemed to start right after the deaths of 2 teenagers, Monty and Lil Rob, on Friday, January 26, 2024. The victims, Robert Boston, known as Lil Rob, and Monty Williams, aka Monty, were both students at Innovations High School, a charter school in downtown Chicago. At exactly 12:30 p.m., as students flooded out for their lunch break, chaos exploded outside. 2 cars came speeding toward the nearby Washington train stations, not far from the school. The moment they hit the brakes, masked shooters jumped out with their weapons ready and opened fire. No hesitation, no confusion. The targets were clear, Monty and Lil Rob, and the ambush lasted just seconds. After unloading their clips, the gunmen jumped back into their vehicles and vanished just as fast as they came. By the time emergency responders reached the scene, it was already too late. Both teens were rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, but there was nothing doctors could do. Monty and Lil Rob were pronounced dead on arrival. While the city mourned, Lil Jeff went a different route. He didn't offer condolences, he didn't stay quiet either. Instead, he lit up social media with cryptic messages that many saw as a bold flex. One of his go-to posts, the number 2, thrown up again and again, and he didn't stop there. He dropped lyrics with zero filter, rhymes that left no doubt about what had happened. No names mentioned, but everybody knew who he was talking about. To top it off, Jeff revealed a new tattoo, 10 teardrops, with 2 of them connected. According to online sleuths and street talk, that ink had a chilling meaning. It symbolized 2 lives taken in one drill. The message was loud, even if he kept it cryptic. If you know, you know. If you don't, you will. To Lil Jeff, it was just another day in the trenches, a cold, calculated game where only the most ruthless survive. In one of his most infamous posts, he threw up 10 hat emojis, a digital body count according to those in the know. But what really shook people, 2 of those were graduation caps. The streets and the internet took that as a clear reference to the 2 high school teens, Monty and Lil Rob. There was no hiding the message. Lil Jeff wasn't just active in the war, he celebrated it. Ruthless didn't even begin to describe him, and that's exactly why his alleged killer, Trady Rob, has gained so much support online. To some, Rob isn't just a suspect, he's the one who finally stopped the menace. And now, everyone's asking the same question. Why is he still behind bars? Stick around, because I'll be breaking that down soon. and keeping you locked in with all the updates. If you found this video intense, eye-opening, or just plain wild, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a drop. Leave a comment and let me know what you think. Was justice served, or is this story far from over? Share this with someone who needs to catch up, and I'll see you in the next one.